On TV5.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. I'm Charles Kuralt, sitting in for Dan Rather. The Commerce Department reported today that its barometer of future economic activity rose 0.8% last month. It was the 7th rise in 8 months. Commerce Secretary Baldridge said both the size and breadth of the improvement were favorable. He noted the index has been climbing only about half as much as after previous recessions, however, and that suggests that the economic upturn may be a moderate one. But Bill Plant reports President Reagan looked for the silver lining.
As President Reagan vacationed in Palm Springs, news of the rising economic indicators prompted a bullish White House assessment that recovery is on the way. We regard these as an important signal that the foundation for a recovery is developing, said Deputy Press Secretary Larry Speaks, adding, we would anticipate that in the coming year. Indeed, as Speaks noted earlier, Mr. Reagan's faith in his economic program hasn't diminished one iota. But many economists and business people fear that growth will be slow and recovery weak. The president acknowledged those fears yesterday.
Some of the gentlemen are being quoted from the business world, and there seems to be a wide disparity as to whether it will be as low as some of us have said, or whether we're going to see an extra spurt. My opinion is that really, no matter how much they may use the dignified words of projection, there's an awful lot of element of guesswork in all of this.
The administration's guesses about the economy won't be known for another month, but many economists think that next year's growth rate will only be between 2 and 3%. Some think even less. Mr. Reagan is determined to keep defense spending up and not to cut taxes. This means a deficit near $200 billion this fiscal year and next. And that worries Wall Street, which fears it will mean a return to high interest rates. Senior aides say that the administration's economic forecast next month is going to be a lot more realistic than in the past 2 years, even though that means admitting that things are not getting better anywhere near as quickly as had been advertised. But never mind, say these officials, the president still believes that his program is going to work. Bill Plant, CBS News, with the president in Palm Springs.
The government reported today that sales of new single-family homes rose 12% in November to the highest level in 2 years. This is the 4th straight monthly gain in new home sales since interest rates began falling. The median price for those new homes, by the way, reached a record $74,200. 544,000 Americans filed new claims for unemployment benefits in the week ending December 18th. That's 11,000 more claims than the previous week, but the number is still well below the levels of recent months. Unemployment figures, of course, don't tell the whole story. Betty Ann Bowser has the story tonight of some Americans who are being asked to pay a price to keep their jobs.
Production at this Wheeling-Pittsburgh steel mill is at an all-time low. The workforce, which once numbered 2,000, is down to 20. Talk to laid-off workers here about economic indicators, and they will point to the closed movie theaters, the abandoned stores, and the trailer park swept clean by the tornado of hard times. Adam Cinco is angry and desperate. Since being laid off, he's lost his car, and he's on welfare.
I'm going to go out and get the money any way I can. They're reverting, they're making people turn bad, that's all.
You're saying you'd steal if you had to?
Yeah, for my kids.
And Kathy Myers, laid off 17 months ago. She's run out of unemployment benefits and almost out of hope.
One thing, I have been working since the age of 13, and I have never been in this situation before. Never.
What are you going to do?
I have no idea.
Still, as bad as things are, the Wheeling-Pittsburgh Steel Company has asked 10,000 of its workers to make job concessions for the 5th time since 1960 and for the 2nd time this year. Wheeling-Pittsburgh wants the workers to give up about $3.45 an hour in wages and benefits, saving the company $33 million next year. In return, the company promises not to fully close any of its plants for 4 years and to split any profits with the workers.
We're buying time, hoping that this thing will turn around and this company will become a good company.
Part of the medicine needed to treat this disease is wage and benefit adjustments.
Wheeling-Pittsburgh's chairman Dennis Carney even bought TV time to convince workers in 3 states that without the deal, the company would go broke. Like many laid-off workers, Dan Swartz is voting for the concessions, grudgingly.
I'm not willing to give. I don't want to give.
but I will give, for one reason. I want a job.
Late today, union officials said the rank and file approved the deal by more than 3-1. Betty Ann Bowser, CBS News, Allenport, Pennsylvania.
There's a very good chance that the unemployment rate for January will be down slightly, whether the economy gets better or not. The reason is that starting next month, the Labor Department will begin counting military personnel based in the United States as part of its mix of figures on the jobless rate. The Labor Department denies that this is a way of making the unemployment picture look better than it is, says the military really is another job market and ought to be included.
You have to wait so long to find out if you won, you wonder whether anyone even won at all. Well, at Publishers Clearinghouse, we want you to know. And on March 15th, we're going to announce it on TV. Who won a dream house? Who won a luxury car? Who won our incredible super prize?
And our $250,000 winner is...
So watch your mail for the new Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes and enter. We want to make you a winner.
Oh, they'll be out.
Not with that congested cough. You look drained.
I feel drained.
Take Formula 44D. You'll feel like your congested cough is being drained away.
Sure.
It's the only leading formula strong enough to relieve your cough and congestion.
It does have a strong cough suppressant.
And 2 decongestants. Well?
Thanks to Formula 44D.
Your day didn't go down the drain.
Vicks Formula 44D drains your congested cough so it won't drain you.
Lawyers for the Justice Department and lawyers for Congress were on opposite sides of a case in federal court today. The Congress trying to prosecute Ann Gorsuch, head of the Environmental Protection Agency, for refusing to turn over some EPA documents to congressional scrutiny. The Justice Department challenging the validity of those contempt of Congress proceedings. Today, attorneys for the House of Representatives argued that the Justice Department really doesn't have a defense for Mrs. Gorsuch, that it's merely trying to thwart the will of Congress. There was a rare event today at the Interior Department. Susan Spencer reports that Interior Secretary James Watt announced a decision about wilderness areas that environmental groups did not find outrageous.
The law protects wilderness areas from mineral leasing, but only through September of 1983. From then until 1984, Interior could have granted leases. And citing Secretary Watt's pro-development bent, environmentalists thought it might. Today, the Secretary, in rare television interviews, said, "Fear not."
We've never proposed that we should lease in the oil and gas, for oil and gas in the wilderness area or the study areas. Now, the present legislation doesn't prohibit that, nor does the appropriations bill, but we will not do it. We think that's bad public policy.
Watt said angrily that reports earlier this week that he would pull 800,000 acres from an ongoing wilderness study had been distorted, not emphasizing, he said, that cases will be reviewed. But he added ongoing outcry over his actions doesn't surprise him.
If you do anything in this job, you create conflict.
What do you think your image is after 2 years in office?
My image is one of an effective administrator that has made significant changes in the Department of Interior that will help us prepare for the 21st century, and that is our goal.
Seated before a caricature of the Secretary, smiling at an earth mover in the wilderness, spokesman for the Wilderness Society didn't quite see the administration's program in that light.
His program is not a plan for the 21st century, as he claims, but rather a program to dissipate a great deal of America's vast heritage of public lands before the 21st century.
Asked if they weren't happy about the decision not to go for mineral leasing in the wilderness, another spokesman said that's like being happy that somebody's not beating his wife. Clearly, after 2 years, this administration's relationship with the environmentalists has nowhere to go but up. Susan Spencer, CBS News, Washington.
An administrative law judge ruled tonight that consumers are due refunds on natural gas bills in 8 eastern states because of improper business practices by a major pipeline company. The decision concerning the Columbia Gas Transmission Corporation could reduce natural gas bills nationwide. About 1,000 square miles of Mississippi is underwater today after this week's rains. One official said the flooding in the Mississippi Delta already exceeds levels expected only once every 100 years. And David Dick reports conditions in Louisiana also have moved officials to the use of superlatives.
The National Weather Service in New Orleans issued a tersely worded bulletin to Louisiana residents today, particularly those in the northeast section. Quote, "We could well be dealing with a flood event never before witnessed." End of quote. One local weather official said the words may have been too strong, but the prevailing attitude seemed to be, make preparations now, talk about it later. At Alexandria in central Louisiana, residents of the Penny Street subdivision were moving out of homes. And in some cases, although water was receding in the area, patience was beginning to wear thin.
It's a crying shame they don't have some help here.
At Natchitoches, water today just as there was water yesterday. At the Larto, Louisiana community, the water was rising. On the Calcasieu River north of Lake Charles, 4 barges loaded with limestone broke from their moorings. They hit a railway trestle, sinking 1 barge along with part of the trestle. And the other 3 barges were threatening the Interstate 10 bridge across the Calcasieu River. Traffic has been rerouted. On the Tombigbee River at Columbus, Mississippi, the floodwaters have crested. It was a close call for the town's business district, but it was too late for one animal caught in the high water. But even the worst of flood times are not without their benefits, for the agricultural richness of the Mississippi and Louisiana deltas greatly depends upon the amount of topsoil washed down from the north. David Dick, CBS News in northern Louisiana.
Beneath the ocean floor lies much of the petroleum discovered today. In U.S. waters, Conoco, a DuPont company, is a leading operator of offshore platforms and has pioneered the use of computerized systems to make oil development more efficient and safer. At DuPont, we believe innovative technology can help solve America's energy problems. DuPont, better things for better living.
Jill, your travel book drew quite a crowd.
I must have signed over 100 copies.
Let's have some coffee.
Only half a cup.
But I thought you liked fresh brewed coffee.
Love it. It's the caffeine. I can...
Look.
Brim decaffeinated coffee?
Uh-huh.
Well, if it tastes this rich, fill it to the rim.
With Brim.
Fill your cup to the rim with the richness of Brim.
It's early New Year's Eve in Poland, and the state of war that began more than a year ago has been suspended. That's what the military rulers call martial law, state of war. The government lifted most martial law restrictions as of midnight, 24 hours earlier than expected, but it has the ability to reimpose them at a moment's notice. Soviet leader Yuri Andropov says that he is amenable to the idea of a summit meeting with President Reagan. Andropov's remarks, released today, were in written response to questions posed in writing by Kingsbury Smith of Hearst newspapers. Andropov said a summit could be very effective in improving U.S.-Soviet relations if what he called good preparation comes first. The White House said no summit is in the works now, but that one might be contemplated if there were reasonable prospects for success. Another Andropov answer had to do with missiles, Soviet and American. Bill Lynch tells us about that.
Andropov suggested 1983 could be a breakthrough year for reducing both intermediate and long-range nuclear missiles. Objectively speaking, he wrote, there is ample opportunity to do so. The new Soviet leader repeated his offer to reduce Soviet missiles aimed at Western Europe and restated Moscow's call for an immediate freeze on long-range nuclear missiles.
In so doing, Andropov ignored earlier American rejection of both Soviet proposals, leaving the door open for negotiations in Geneva. Thus, despite a wide gap in public positions, the latest private contacts between the United States and Soviet Union have apparently given both sides reason to expect progress.
President Reagan says he's a little optimistic. His arms negotiator, Edward Rowney, puts the odds for a breakthrough at 50-50. And today, even Defense Secretary Weinberger, no enthusiast for Soviet disarmament proposals, joined the chorus.
You saw Mr. Rowney's suggestion yesterday that we have a good chance of securing agreement in 1983, which would be very welcome news. And I think the arms reduction proposals and state of the negotiations is something which the administration should be quite proud.
But Weinberger also cautioned the Soviet threat is greater than ever and said there should be no retreat from the Reagan rearmament plan in the upcoming defense budget.
I don't believe we can cut more from our defense programs for the next years without risk to our national security. We are doing everything possible to ensure that the defense dollar is spent wisely.
During 1983, the Reagan administration will have to walk a fine line between its big arms buildup and what many see as its best chance to reach agreement with the Soviets on a reduction in nuclear weapons. Bill Lynch, CBS News, the Pentagon.
The scene was shifted, but the results were the same in the troop withdrawal talks today between Israel and Lebanon. Hundreds of Israeli children were let out of school for today's second round in Kiryat Shmona. The delegates said some differences were resolved and others narrowed, but they still couldn't agree on an overall agenda for negotiations to come. Sources said the sticking point is Israel's insistence that normalizing relations be the main goal. Lebanon wants all troops out first.
Is that the new Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes you just got?
Mm-hmm.
How come you haven't sent it in?
Contests are just gimmicks.
That's what I used to think.
Oh, you have to be dumb to enter contests.
That's what I used to think.
I don't think anybody ever wins.
That's what I used to think.
You know that new Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes you just got? What's your reason for not sending it in? Lots of Clearinghouse winners used to think that, too. Come on, send it in.
When my arthritis kicks up, there's no beating deep heating.
Mentholatum Deep Heating Rub sends fingers of relief to soothe minor arthritis pain for hours.
When my hands are stiff and sore, there's no beating deep heating.
Mentholatum Deep Heating Rub sends fingers of relief to loosen the stiffness of minor arthritis pain for hours. Mentholatum Deep Heating Rub or lotion.
There's no beating deep heating.
3 weeks ago, President Reagan told the Congress he would freeze $465 million in aid for the cities that was not spent in fiscal 1982. His idea was not to spend it at all, but to use it to lower the federal deficit. Today, President Reagan relented under pressure from urban areas that need the money badly. He agreed to release $221 million, but he still plans to withhold another $244 million targeted specifically for the most distressed urban areas. 2 are dead after the violence that erupted Tuesday night in Miami. At least 26 people have been injured and 43 have been arrested. The trouble started when a policeman shot and killed a young black man. And today, Eric Engberg reports officials are looking into the circumstances of that death.
After a generally quiet night, today there were only scattered episodes of rock throwing and looting. A large force of riot-equipped police moved through a 4-square-mile area, breaking up groups of young people, using tear gas to end this attempt to loot a liquor store. New questions were raised today about Luis Alvarez, the policeman who shot a black youth to death after finding him armed. Police records show Officer Alvarez was called in for special counseling last June because of, quote, an excessive number of complaints from citizens about his behavior. Alvarez is quoted in the police records as admitting to an attitude problem.
I think if a man identifies and admits that he has the attitude problem, that's a giant step forward to taking care of the problem.
During this demonstration by Cuban groups last January, a black man claimed that Alvarez used a racial epithet in arresting him. The Miami Herald quoted police sources as saying it was such trouble that led to Alvarez being transferred to a low-income, mostly black area where Tuesday's fatal shooting occurred.
Well, reassigning people as a punishment is ridiculous. It's a punishment for the community. It's not a punishment for the officer. That's absurd.
Police officials declined to comment on the newspaper report. City and federal authorities promise a full investigation of the shooting that led to the trouble.
I believe that Officer Alvarez, after a full, complete, and objective investigation, will be found to have acted properly.
The case will likely turn on whether the victim made any move to use the weapon police say he had. Miami civil rights leaders claim the killing, like that of Arthur McDuffie in 1979, is evidence police are too ready to use deadly force against blacks.
The pattern is repeated in this community on an average of 2 or 3 times a year, with significant confrontations between members of the black community and the police, often spilling over into violence.
383 people were killed in violent encounters with police across the country last year. That number generally has been declining. In Miami's black community, where authorities kept up their show of force in an effort to contain disturbances, people were claiming that the pattern of confrontation and sudden death between citizen and police was all too common. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Miami.
In his commentary tonight, Bill Moyers says the problems in Miami are problems in a lot of places.
Those outbursts in Miami are like tremors from below the crust of society. We have them every so often, the way a sudden movement of rock masses along the San Andreas Fault produces earthquakes in California. Geologists explain that such rumbling can occur when two sides across the fault move in opposite directions. That's happening socially in our cities. Out there on one side of the fracture are people whose way of life most of us cannot imagine. There are no jobs, no social enrichment, no relief from the boredom, drugs, and bleakness. Racism has honed a hard edge to their poverty. Occasionally, some of them confront the thin line of authority at a flashpoint in no man's land and trigger a contagion of violence. Remember Watts in '64, Detroit in '67, New York in '77, or Miami 2 years ago in '80. Each time the system gestures a response, but this is a complex tragedy of which we tire when failure follows failure. After that explosion in the Miami ghetto 2 years ago, the government spent more than $47 million to try to improve things, but the money had little effect and then dried up altogether. The business community of Miami has been trying to take up where the government left off, but to little avail. Something new has emerged in such places, described by one report as a core of hardened people who are virtually unreachable by conventional programs. They're mainly men who survive in the shadow economy of hustle and crime. They are cast off by the workings of the system, brutalized by one institution or another, and finally ostracized by residents of the ghetto themselves. The recession has made life even meaner for everyone locked in this cruel embrace. Unemployment among black teenagers nationwide is about 2.5 times that of whites. But such facts slip easily by an America troubled on many fronts and moving in opposite directions.
How do the vitamins in these cereals compare with Total's?
I really don't know.
This shield shows Total has 100% of a day's allowance of 9 vitamins and iron.
Uh-huh.
Put Total Shield on your cereal to compare vitamins.
I like Special K. 25%.
Total's got a lot more, but how's it taste?
Crisp flakes of whole grain wheat.
Mmm.
And 100% of 9 vitamins. That's the total difference.
Finally, after years of development, the makers of Neosynephrine are proud to give you even longer-lasting relief for your stuffy nose. Incredible Neosynephrine 12-hour. Absolutely nothing you can buy is stronger or lasts longer than Neosynephrine 12-hour. It lets you breathe freely all day. Get Neosynephrine 12-hour. Nothing is stronger. Nothing lasts longer.
I've tried lots of light Chablis, but this one's different. It has great taste. Hey, Masson, how'd you do it?
You know, I thought fewer calories meant less taste, until I tried this. How'd you do it, Masson?
Well, first we make it right, then we make it light. Unlike some light wines, we use only fully ripened grapes, so Masson Light has great taste with 1/3 fewer calories.
I don't care how they do it, as long as they keep doing it.
Masson Light. First we make it right, then we make it light.
We've been hearing on this broadcast tonight that Americans entering the new year have some reason to be encouraged about the economy. No such luck for the British. Not much at all to be encouraged about over there. But while worker unemployment in Britain is higher than here, worker resentment is lower. That's because unemployment in Britain has its benefits. Tom Fenton reports.
Reports on the misery caused by the recession and unemployment in the United States are often shown on British television.
They start early, 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and by 9 they are gathered in their thousands outside the Mount Pisgah Baptist Church on the south side of the city. They're waiting for a bag of free food. The food is privately given, no state aid and no city aid. Rather, as the pastor describes it, it is the poor feeding the poor.
When the British see how some Americans suffer when they lose their jobs, they must think, My God, I'm glad it's not like that here. In Britain, the situation the unemployed face is nowhere near as stark, even though the unemployment figures here are far worse. 12.5% of the workforce and rapidly increasing.
Ron's unemployed, Mick's unemployed, Ken's unemployed, Jerry's unemployed, Jack's unemployed.
None of these men who were fired when their steel mill shut down seems overly worried about the future. They know their chances of finding new jobs are slim, but can survive on benefits from the government.
I'm one of the idle, I won't say idle rich because I'm not one of them, but I'm one of the men of leisure, I suppose.
Bruce Baxter lost his $235 a week job in October. He now qualifies for welfare as well as unemployment payments. He and his wife and 3 children will continue to live in their comfortable $45,000 home. The government will pay the interest on his mortgage, give him something extra for heat, and cash payments for himself and his family. It adds up to almost as much as he took home from his job at the steel mill. Relatively speaking, Britain spends 50% more on unemployment and welfare benefits than the United States. The price for this is higher taxes, but when the average British working man loses his job, his lifestyle does not necessarily change.
You feel secure because you know at the end of the day that you're not actually going to have to walk out of the house and leave it and say, well, that was once mine.
Provided the Baxters have less than $4,000 in the bank, they can continue to collect benefits as long as they need them for life if necessary. The Birmingham area where the Baxters live was once the industrial heartland of England. So many of its factories have closed in the last 2 years that today it's as much a disaster area as Detroit. The difference is that people here still have some money to spend. Despite increasing unemployment, consumer spending in Britain has actually been rising for the past 2 years.
Certainly, the American people must have an awful lot more to worry about when they lose their jobs than we have when we lose ours.
A recent opinion poll of Britain's jobless confirms that they're becoming used to unemployment as a way of life. 3 out of 4 are beginning to fear they may never get another job, but only 1 out of 4 blame the British government for unemployment. Politicians had predicted that 3 million unemployed would set Britain's cities on fire. Instead, they're merely watching more television. Tom Fenton, CBS News, Birmingham.
And that's the CBS Evening News for this Thursday. I'm Charles Kuralt reporting from New York. Good night.
I feel stuffy, hot, feverish, achy, congested.
How would you treat those symptoms? I can give you a contact that treats less than 100% of your symptoms, or a full 100% with new Dristan Ultra Colds formula.
Take the 100%, of course.
For 100% of your symptoms, the maximum single dose. That's new Ultra Colds formula.
I feel better. Everything kind of open and is free and flowing. I've been using Contact for 3 or 4 years. I'm going to switch to Dristan Ultra.
For 100% of your symptoms, new Dristan Ultra.
Stay right where you are, folks. You may be the winner of $1 million. This is Ed McMahon. I urge you to watch your mail for $1 million message from me. Look for the envelope with my name and your name on it from American Family Publishers. If you receive this envelope, you may already be the winner of $1 million. I will personally award this giant prize. So look for your $1 million envelope this week. Be sure it's from American Family Publishers. It could make you a millionaire.
I'm Bill Curtis. 1982 has been a year to remember. We'll look back at the political, medical, sports, and business highlights tomorrow on the CBS Morning News.
This is CBS.
Tennessee unemployment soars. It's 11.8%. Details on that and the story of Bill Leader's latest attempt to get his Public Service Commission job back, all next on Eyewitness News.
This is the big one.
Waller Buick and Frank Davis Buick have to sell out their current inventories before January 1st. These are not 1982s, but brand new 1983 Buicks. We'd rather sell you a new 1983 Buick now instead of carrying them into next year's inventory. Before you buy any 82, come in and check out our 1983 Buicks first.
This is the big one. The big one is here.
At Waller Buick and Frank Davis Buick. Don't miss it.
This is the